And here we are live in another spoiler room, and man, we've got a packed room tonight to talk about our favorite films that are based off of TV shows. And tonight in the room, I've got a great crew here. We're going to start right down the line. Hello, Mr. Cole Meredith. How are you today, sir?
I am doing fantastic. Thanks for inviting me. I've been looking forward to this all week, man.
Fantastic. Well, glad you could make it tonight. And Miss, do you want to see something really scary? Dawn, the diva of the spoiler room's in the house. How are you tonight, Dawn?
I am wonderful. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And what spoiler room wouldn't be fresh and exciting without the one and only BFD himself, Glenn Bittner? Hello, Glenn.
Hello.
Fantastic. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I am doing well. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good to hear. Good to hear. And, of course, we have the lovely Andrew Shearer with us tonight, Mr. Gonzorific himself. Hello, Andrew.
Hi, Mark.
And next to him, we have the Bowtie Man, the myth, the legend himself, Paul Salzar. Hello, sir.
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Glad everybody here could make it. We have also a spoiler room staple in here tonight, Mr. Scotty D. Hello, sir.
Hello, hello, hello.
Ready to talk some TV movies or movies made from TV shows?
I am. I'm totally.
Awesome.
I had two that I'm gonna get to one. I had two picked out, and man, I just couldn't decide hardly.
Well, we will definitely hang on bated breath, waiting to hear what your choice is for this evening. And last but definitely not least, in the spoiler room, we welcome back William Holt. Hello, William. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm glad you could make it tonight. Always good to have you back in the spoiler room with us. And tonight, yes, we are talking about TV shows that were made into movies, like widescreen release movies. So you'd be amazed just how many there are out there where they were TV shows and then someone said, hey, this would look great on the big screen. And were they right? Were they wrong? Tonight, we're going to find out with some of the selections that we have here in the spoiler room. Let's dive right into this tonight and start with William's choice. William, why don't you give us one of your movies that were made from TV shows, and so we can talk about that.
You know, it was a really, really hard decision because I haven't really seen too many, but after narrowing it down, I'd have to say Aqua Teen Hunger Force: movie film for theaters.
Wow,
Yeah.
Nice choice. And why don't you tell folks a little bit about the Aqua Teen Hunger Force: movie for the theaters? If I did that right.
Well, if you've seen the TV show, you're definitely going to love the movie. The movie kind of dives into the origins of where the group came from, but it also creates this, I don't know if I want to call it a villain or a side character, this giant exercise machine called the Insanoflex that just continuously destroys the whole town and keeps Carl hostage as, I don't know how to say, either a victim or using him for something. And it jumps back and forth to that, and it has time travel, it has cameos from old characters in previous episodes, and it comes down to a pretty shocking discovery of who created who at the very end.
Now, why don't you...
It's really, really good.
Awesome. And why don't you inform some of our listeners who may not be familiar with it, which if they aren't, shame on you, who the Aqua Teen Hunger Force is made up of?
A meatball that talks, a box of fries, and a giant milkshake. And they have a very old, perverted neighbor named Carl.
Who has a pool, correct?
Yes, he has a pool, and a lot of things happen in his pool throughout every single season. Between mermaids, blood, there was a monster in there once, I think. A lot of crazy things happen in that show.
And this was a movie that was wide released, very short time. It was animated, correct?
Yes, correct.
Now, is this a show? Was this a movie that you could see and follow if you hadn't followed the TV show, or did you really need to kind of know about the TV show to enjoy this film?
Well, if you were kind of interested on the side characters like the Plutonians and the Moonanites, and I think Willie Nelson shows up in it at one point. The one that looked like a giant spider and an onion mixed together. So if you're interested in those characters, I'd recommend watching the TV show first. But other than that, it's like a whole different story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's really connected. I think it's just like one big long episode in movie form.
Fantastic. Anyone else in the room familiar with this film or the TV series?
Well, I'm from Atlanta, so it's like home movies from here.
They have a lot of talking meatballs and boxes of fries in Atlanta.
Well, you know, Adult Swim was born here, and a lot of the shows were created here. Definitely all the Space Ghost things, the spin-offs, Squidbillies, Archer, Pretty Faces, Going to Hell, all that stuff is home team for me.
Nice. Anyone else familiar with Aqua Teen Hunger Force? Conan?
I'm quite familiar with Enoch and
Yes.
Yes.
The Moonanites, correct?
You and your third dimension.
Yes.
Yes.
Dude, we have 5,000. Yes, 5,000. Yes, I love Enoch and
Go ahead, Scott.
I was just gonna say I actually did when I did see this. I saw it when it first hit video, and I saw this like ass backwards because I did see the movie first, and yeah, okay, I'm sure the show would have helped, but honestly, the whole thing. The humor, the level of humor that's on this is such random nonsense, and I'm saying that in a good way. That I honestly didn't think it. I think it would have helped, but it wouldn't have. It would have been a minimal difference because it's not like the show or anything takes like a logical progression or anything. The humor is just so absurdist and everything. And I remember coming back and talking to this person I was working with at a video store at the time, and he was a big fan of it. He was like his super fan of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. He put references to them in his grindcore songs and everything like that. And he's like, "Oh, you gotta watch the show." And I started watching the show too. I kind of I haven't seen all the episodes. I only watched like the first couple seasons, but I really dug the movie a lot, and I just liked the level of like, what the hell's going on here that was going on in the movie. It was a lot of fun.
Now it was a movie though that didn't have a long theatrical run.
I'm surprised it got to the theaters. I mean, not because it's not good, but just because it's even with its cult following, it is such a culty type thing. I mean, when you see it, it's not like they made the movie like, oh, we've got a big movie. Okay, now how do we make this appeal to the mainstream? They didn't care. It's like, no, let's just take what we do all the time and make it bigger.
And for reference, folks, some of the cameo voices you may hear in it are one from Bruce Campbell and one Tina Fey are actually have voices for cameo voices in the film.
Tina Fey has the most random.
It has the character named Burrito, so that tells you right there.
It's like the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So
I just think they got her in a sound booth and everything. Like, okay, we got you mic'd. You got thing. Okay, so my part is just the one line.
Hey, I've known cameos that are shorter than that would put the person's name on a headline. I think all of us, being fans of low-budget direct-to-video horror, have suffered that before. Oh, look, it has this person in it. Wait, I missed their scene. That's it? That's all?
Mark.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to add what I really liked the most about the story in the movie is, like, if you've seen the TV series, most episodes, if not all of them, start out with Dr. Weird's castle.
Sure.
And if I'm correct, in the past episodes, you don't really see the Aqua Teens and Dr. Weird actually meet. But in the movie, there's a strong connection. I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's a strong connection with those characters that appear later on near the end.
Oh, cool.
Behold! Yes, rather favorite in that too.
So, what did you think of the film, Glenn? Of Aqua Team Hunger Force : movie film for theaters.
I actually haven't seen the movie. I just
Oh,
watched
you
the
haven't?
series.
Oh, it was just from the series.
That's
My
all from the
apologies on that.
series. I have not seen the movie. I should see the movie because I love the series.
Yeah, see, it was one that I meant to get out and go see, and it was already gone. I'm like, oh, okay. I remember the time. So, of course, where I live, most movies don't last more than a week. So, excellent choice on there, William. Definitely a fun film, it sounds like. I have not seen it, but if it says anything like the show, I can understand the random humor and just the off-the-wallness. And if the Mooninites are in it, well, then I'm sold. Because I just love them to death. So, excellent pick there. Paul, why don't we go with you next? What is your pick?
Let's see. From 1994, I picked a movie that I thought best fit your criteria for TV show to movie.
Okay.
Translation, I picked the movie called Maverick.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Stars, well, it was, first of all, it was directed by Richard Donner. It stars Mel Gibson, Jodie Foster, and it actually does have the original Maverick, which is James Gardner. And what I liked about the movie was it did a really good job of being able to create a movie, and you didn't have to know anything about the show. They had likable characters. It was amazingly fun to watch. The three main characters were amazing. They had very good chemistry together, and I loved how they did manage to tie in the original series with the new movie. With the roles that they did with James Gardner and Mel Gibson. It was kind of a unique thing that I wasn't expecting, but when it actually appeared, it was fantastic.
I remember seeing this. This is actually one of the better because before people found their groove, and actually it's hit or miss with most of these films. This was a hit. I will agree. When I saw it too, I wasn't quite sure, but one, it gives us an excuse to have another modern Western.
Yeah.
Western in that type period, but also it did have a great cast. I mean, not only did you have the headliners, which is Mel Gibson, Jodie Foster, and James Gardner, but you also had, Clinton Black's in here, Denver Pie. I mean, they had a
Graham Greene.
Yep, they had a James Coburn. I mean,
James Coburn.
Alfred Molina, James Coburn was in here. Anyone else has seen Maverick and want to weigh in on this actually very entertaining Western?
Well, this is a Richard Donner movie, right?
Yeah. It is a Richard Donner film, yes.
Yeah. I haven't seen this honestly since it was new on VHS.
Mm-hmm.
You can't watch everything 10 times. But I remember liking it. I'm a Richard Donner fan. If somebody had me at gunpoint and said, come up with a list of your favorite directors or big budget, sort of Hollywood-esque directors, Richard Donner would definitely be on there. I remember enjoying it. I like Jodie Foster, love James Garner, I like Mel Gibson as a performer. So I remember enjoying this film immensely, although I haven't seen it in, 18 years or something. I do like it. I remember liking it. I remember watching it thinking, God damn, that's a good movie.
It's a really fun Western adventure, and it kind of keeps with the gambling spirit of the characters and everything, where people are conning each other. So if you like Westerns or you like con movies, you've got basically what you need in Maverick. Mm-hmm. And of course, at the time, Mel hadn't started. Mel wasn't as polarizing a figure as he might be today. Let's just say that. And I was seeing basically anything with Jodie Foster in it at the time because I think she's I still think she's one of the greatest actresses ever. Mm-hmm. And of course, this was only a few years after Silence of the Lambs, so of course I was just totally hooked, and I just remember thinking this wasn't it was a big summer movie, but it wasn't it didn't feel like a gigantic epic or anything like that. It didn't try to like change. It felt like after you were done with it, like, wow, what an enjoyable 2-hour movie we just watched. You know, what an enjoyable little adventure of who's conning who and everything. And it was like, I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. Dawn, have you seen Maverick?
Oh, of course I have.
And what'd you think of the film?
I liked it. It's exactly what you would expect from a Richard Donner film with that caliber of actor. There was a lot of amusing nods to his other projects. I liked how the film made fun of itself and all the stereotypes.
But it wasn't mean-spirited.
But it wasn't
fun.
mean-spirited.
Right.
Yeah, Graham Greene I thought was just brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because that can sometimes happen with some of these translations, is that they get a little bit mean-spirited. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Vacation. Go bite me. Anyway.
Which one was that? Which one was that?
Vacation. But anyway.
Go back to that one, okay.
Glenn, what about you? Maverick?
I think I may have seen this once or 11 times. I'm a big James Garner fan, so I like this one a lot. I mean, it's pre-crazy Mel Gibson, and yeah, I'll watch just about anything with Jodie Foster as well, because she is, as Scott said, she's a great actress.
Yeah, she is.
And yeah, it's just, I mean, and I grew up watching a lot of westerns with my dad. I watched a lot of older westerns, so pretty much if there's a western film that comes out, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to see it. And yeah, I like this one a lot. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and Andrew, what about you with Maverick?
We got the VHS, man, sitting up in the library. Got it.
Nice. Yeah, with a cast like this, you couldn't really go wrong at the time, and this was actually the 4th collaboration Richard Donner had with Gibson, and you can tell when an actor is comfortable with a director, and here you could see that. I think that comes across on screen really strongly.
That's the reason Lethal Weapon 5 was never made, because they tried to fast track it without Donner, and Gibson was like, no.
I remember when they did Conspiracy Theory, which I actually think is like one of the most underrated films of that era. I thought Conspiracy Theory was a great movie, and
absolutely, yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, you guys can correct me if I'm getting my timelines wrong. They basically waited because they had Donner and Gibson together on set. So basically, Warner Brothers was there every day, like, so Lethal Weapon 4 next summer, right? Right? And basically that's how they did it. They kind of strong-armed them, and Lethal Weapon 4 was like whipped together like so quick because it was basically while they were on the set of Conspiracy Theory. Fine, we'll do Lethal Weapon 4 next year, and they had it out within a year.
Yeah, unfortunately. But at least we had Maverick before that, which was a better collaboration between those two. And yeah, getting to see James Garner on screen, especially a big screen, was fun. William, what about you? Have you seen Maverick?
No, actually, I've never heard of it.
Really?
You gotta see it, man. It's good.
You should see
I
it.
definitely will. Thank you. I'm going to write that down right now.
You bet. Excellent pick there, Paul, on Maverick. I like that choice quite a bit. And we'll go right down the line here to Glenn, actually. We'll kind of hopscotch here. Glenn, what was your pick for a film made from a TV show?
Dun, 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 dun.
Yay!
Which it disgusts me that it has a 5.9 rating on IMDb, which just shows that people on the internet are stupid.
Yes, tell us a little bit about Dragnet and this interesting comedy film that kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and this is probably one of the earlier where they took a TV series and adapted it to a movie, and took what was a pretty serious TV series and turned it into a comedy. Because I used to watch Dragnet as a kid, or reruns of it. I'm not that old, but And if they had just remade Dragnet as Dragnet, oh my God, would that have been awful?
They did it a few years ago with Ed O'Neill.
Did they?
Yeah, they
for
tried.
TV, for TV, they tried to bring back before Modern Family. They tried to bring him back as Ed O'Neill as it, and it gave you the opportunity.
I can kind of understand, but even then, yeah, no.
It gave you the opportunity to hear Ed O'Neill, see Ed O'Neill use the word bukkake on TV. But it was bad. Sorry, man. Sorry, go.
Well, they have Dan Aykroyd playing the straight man.
Yep.
Playing the nephew of the late original was it Joe Friday.
Joe Friday. Yeah.
And then they throw in Tom Hanks, when he still did comedies, as his basically his completely off the wall kind of zany partner, and they have to uncover there's this whole thing going on with I love the group. They're called Pagans, which is an acronym of People Against Goodness and Normalcy.
Yes.
My friend and I we saw this. This was like sophomore year of high school. We adopted the goat dance and did that many a time and many occasion, including at the Grand Canyon. We went to a supposed haunted house and mocked it by doing the goat dance in front of it. So this is something that we adapted into our lives quite a bit. I watched Dragnet a lot when it first came out, and it's got a great cast. I mean, Dan Aykroyd I think did really well as the straight man, and you got Tom Hanks and then Christopher Plummer as the Reverend Jonathan Worley, and you get the little cameo by Harry Morgan, and then who else is in it? Oh, one of my favorite just bad guys in general, Jack O'Halloran.
Yes.
Emil Muzz. And just so many memorable lines for me in this film that I just, it's like, look, it's just you, me, your balls, and this drawer. Yeah, it's just a fun movie. And this also had Alexandra Paul, who plays the Virgin Connoisseur.
The Virgin Connoisseur.
And what made this even better for us is the fact that we were huge Baywatch nuts.
Oh.
And we didn't watch Baywatch because we thought it was a good show. We watched it to basically mock the ever-living hell out of it. And she was a regular on Baywatch as the only basically the only person who was obviously cast for her personality, because she was not cast because she could bounce a lot on the beach.
Yeah.
So, but that just kind of made it even better for us, because then we watch this movie and then we throw in Baywatch references whenever we can. So this one is just it's one of my favorites from my high school years, I would say, as far as comedy films go. And I think it's underrated by a lot of people. And probably not seen by many people since 1987, other than me.
I watch it every time I get a chance.
You're done.
That's because you're awesome.
That's because you're awesome, Don. Why don't you talk a bit about Dragnet, your experience with it, what you like about it?
I like it. As Biff said, it is very quotable. It has wonderful lines. I'm drawing a blank. Wow.
Well, it was interesting because it was one of those first TV shows where they actually have a character, right, that was similar to the original TV series, but they put him in modern times. It's not.
This
one
came
of the first
out.
times they did that.
This came out, and I know the Naked Gun is great. We know the Naked Gun is great, and that's based on a TV show as well and everything like that. I don't know if it's anybody's pick or not, so I'm not going to go into that. But this actually came out the year before the Naked Gun movie, and I still prefer it because you have a great dichotomy between Dan Aykroyd is great as the straight man who can just recite penal codes like left and right and has no sense of humor whatsoever, is just like as American as apple pie. And you have Tom Hanks. Now, this younger people in our audience and stuff might not get that when in 1992 or 93, when Tom Hanks did Sleepless in Seattle and then he did Philadelphia, that was a huge deal. Everybody was shocked. They didn't know he could do drama that well. He was known as being a wild comedy guy. This is the guy from Bosom Buddies, from Splash, from Bachelor Party, and that's what you had here. Is you had that like kind of wild persona on screen, and the movie was so funny. I remember seeing this with my mom, and even though it was like one of those movies where a couple times, you know, when you're like 11 years old, you're like, oh, whoops. You know, because, you know, this is back when PG-13 really meant something. It wasn't just like a warmed-over PG. It was like, no, that should have been PG-13. There was nudity. There was lots of innuendo. Oh yeah, but but we watched it and we were both howling. She was howling because she remembered the show. I hate the original Dragnet TV show. That's just me personally speaking, because it is so straight-laced. It is so stony. I mean, that is so like, what are you boys doing? Nothing communist, I hope. You know,
dang commies.
It's so straight there. Well, that's Jack Webb, you know.
Yeah.
And so that I liked, even though it was kind of ripping the original and new one, it still, you know, it had the involvement of Harry Morgan, so they were in on the joke and everything. And it was it's a hilarious movie. It's really, Glenn, this is a great, Glenn, this is a great pick. It's like one of the best comedies of the 80s. It's great. It's a wonderful movie.
It is a great comedy. And Dawn, you said you really enjoyed it. Did it surprise you that Dan Aykroyd was playing the straight guy in it?
Not really.
Considering it was an 80s comedy, though, I mean, because he was known for that as well as his, you know, SNL days and such.
Yeah, not really. Not to bring up movies that I'm not supposed to bring up, but he was as much the straight man in the Blues Brothers as he was in this.
I didn't say you could bring them up. We're just not going to talk in depth about them. That's a whole nother show, okay?
Yeah, but I asked to cover that. I asked to cover that movie even before you did.
He was. I mean, Candy and Belushi kind of took turns being the straight man in that one, so it didn't surprise me that he could do it. It just surprised me that he could be so subtle.
Right.
With the deadpan humor.
Especially when what's his name? Cynthia Fox or whatever it was, the pinup.
Oh, yeah.
they're at the Hugh Hefner type house because, folks, the theme of this is with the pagans. There's also this theme of porn, of being evil and such, and they go to this Hugh Hefner type house, and there's this for an anniversary episode they have. Or issue of the magazine, they have one of the original pinup girls there, the centerfolds, and she approaches Joe, and she drops her robe, and she goes, "Don't you want to stay for a light lunch or whatever?" And it's the only time I think Joe gets an expression that's other than deadpan. Would you say, Dawn?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was deadpan, but I mean, he was in on the humor. I mean, there's like little bits like where he gets his feet run over by the car. Yeah. He gets to use his deadpan in the bit where he starts to recite the ingredients of the milk, and it's because he's playing off of Tom Hanks's thing. Like, for instance, at the big porn party, it's only the porn boss being played by Dabney Coleman.
Dabney Coleman.
He, of course, he's basically Tom Hanks is a real poon hound in the movie, if you pardon the expression, and so like, you know, Tom Hanks knows every single woman that's at the porn party, and I remember Joe Friday just says they ought to switch you to missing persons, Strebeck. You know everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Andrew, what about you with Dragnet?
Oh, we went to see it when it came out, and then we taped it off of pay-per-view. My brother and I just used to watch it a lot. It was one of our favorites in the 80s.
You recorded it off of pay-per-view?
Yeah, like I had off pay-per-view, man. I got Disorderlies. I got a bunch of really good ones off pay-per-view. I remember he ordered Dirty Dancing and then charged girls in the neighborhood to come in and watch the Dirty Dancing. He made a lot of money off that, whatever it cost.
Wow. Paul, what about you, Dragnet?
Yes, this movie did something that a lot of comedies don't do well, especially nowadays, is that it actually set up the joke. I mean, they would wait for like the entire movie to set up a joke. Like, you know, for example, we joked about the virgin Connie Swale. I just love how that turned out into a real nice joke at the end.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it's the
Beautiful.
perfect.
Oh, yeah.
It was the perfect bookend to the movie. It was
Exactly.
But even with Miss Connie Swale. Don't you mean Virgin Connie Swale? Dun, 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 dun.
He raises the eyebrow. He does the eyebrow.
And it's just little things like that because they took the time and they had patience building up the joke because they knew it would pay off at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciated the movie especially for that.
Yeah, and they had the physical comedy in there, and they have the unexpected comedy, like the old landlady, who is still my favorite. She's still my favorite character, side character in that movie. What do you want, you pencil neck? Just the most foul-mouthed old lady ever. She was great. Cole, what about you, Dragnet?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I actually watched it again because I knew it was Glenn's pick, and I like it. I like the original show too, in the context of its time. You know, just like you'd read an old book, that isn't pertinent anymore. But I like the movie. It's just fine. I don't think it's funny enough, and I don't think they use the theme enough. But I do like it. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, it got some horrible reviews, and it's way better than the critics, at least at the time, would have you believe. It's a good flick. I'm old enough to remember watching Siskel and Ebert's review of it, which is they showed their complete lack of sense of humor in that segment. I like it. I like it. I think that it could have been a little funnier. But I like it. I think it's a fine film to watch. I'll watch it again many more times before I'm under a grave, I'm sure.
And William, have you seen Dragnet?
I've never heard of it, but it's one movie I'm going to put down since y'all are talking so good about it.
It is worth it. It is underrated as far as comedies go. And see, I actually kind of like that this period of early TV show to movies because people were looking for a formula, and so you got a lot of different varieties and different approaches, to these movies back then because it was something fairly new at that time. People were like, "Wow, that's a real risk," but yeah, well, this one I think is a hit, and it is underappreciated. Great performance by both Hanks and Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Well, because go ahead, Don.
Oh, just one thing I want to say for William and anybody else who's looking at watching these movies for the first time. Maverick still holds up pretty well because it's a period piece. Mm-hmm. Dragnet, because it's set in the 80s, is going to feel more dated.
Yeah, there's a few more cultural references in there, pop culture type.
Yeah, it's very pop culture for the 80s.
Huh?
80s are funny and hilarious.
Oh, yes.
Well, 80s are great, man. What are you talking about? But excellent pick there, Glenn, with Dragnet. Just the facts. And we'll go with Cole. Cole, what about you, sir? Your pick for the evening.
Man, I've been so looking forward to this. I'm going to talk about Michael Mann's version of his own TV series, Miami Vice. Just to start, I'm going to talk about the theatrical version. He did the extended quote. This is in quotes. Extended version, strictly for the studio, and I don't recommend that version. It was an experiment on his part to adhere to the powers that be. I highly recommend the theatrical cut. And I'm going to plow through all this as quick as I can.
No, that's fine.
This is like, there are movies that I love, and then there are movies that are the reason I love movies, and this is one of them. I totally don't understand why more people don't get into this. Might be because so much is unsaid in the movie, and so much of it relies on your own personal sort of interpretation of what's happening on the screen. But I saw Miami Vice at a point when I had fired a cinematographer. I was doing my second film, and I had fired a cinematographer because he wasn't shooting in pieces. He was shooting in big, long shots, and I tried to explain to him that in order to create a low-budget movie, I need things to cut away to. Not everything is going to work in one long shot, and if you don't have anything to cut away to, you're fucked. You can't save a scene if you have no cutaways. And I fired him, and I didn't know exactly how I was going to finish the movie. Was I going to shoot it on the Shadows of Sabanville camera? No. He had a $5,000 camera, which I couldn't afford. I went to this movie with, at the time, my best friend, Bruce Carey, and we walked out of that, and I thought, okay, I know how I'm going to finish the movie now. I went out and took out a loan, lived in a garage with rats the size of my rat terrier for a year while paying off this camera, and finished the movie. Because stylistically, this movie is important. This is maybe the most expensive art house movie ever made. I can't back that up with any verifiable evidence here on the show because I want to talk about the movie. But the movie is very art house. And going into the reasons directly that I love it, it is so damn sexy. This is the sexiest movie I've ever seen, aside from maybe High Art, which I hesitate to talk about because if you're a straight male, you can't like High Art because there's lesbians in it. So my opinion is automatically denounced. With that
Okay.
I love High Art.
High Art is an amazing film. It is so damn sexy.
Fantastic.
This movie, I mean, you want to talk about chemistry? Colin Farrell and Gong Li set the screen on fire. I mean, I just really don't understand how well. I'm gonna stop with the criticisms. I'm just gonna go on to why I like it. I really like the chemistry between Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx. I mean, even Farrell himself mentioned there wasn't enough buddy stuff. I wholeheartedly disagree. This is a less is more type of situation. You know, the TV series had all this time to develop this character. You would assuming you already know these guys are blood brothers. And if you can't keep up, well, you know, that's too bad because their scenes are really good. They have an unspoken thing going on, which brothers who are not related by blood have. I've had a couple of them in my life, and not everything you say. You look the dude in the eye, you have a unspoken communication, and you go about your business. Just going right down the list. In 2014, Time Out pulled several film critics, directors, actors, and stunt actors to list their top action films. This was on it, which is confusing because if you go to the Rotten Tomatoes page, this movie is a bomb or something. And it seemed like all of the critics I was paying attention to praised this film. The cinematography is absolutely amazing, which Michael Mann had used in Collateral. But to me, the problem with Collateral is you have a very enticing, entrancing story bookended by an unrealistic love story. You know, there's an opening scene and an ending scene where Jamie Foxx meets this girl in a taxi, and everything in between there is really good, and the bookend destroys it. This movie has no bookends, and again, I'm referring to the theatrical cut. This movie starts with you in the middle of a raid of these guys in the middle of an investigation, and it stops at the exact same place. And as an extension of that, this is a movie where the good guys don't necessarily win. The big guy that they were after, the main dude played by, I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce his name. I can't even find it in my notes actually. But they don't catch him. He gets away. Going along with the villains here, John Ortiz, who plays Euro, who is the drug smuggler's intelligence officer, is horrifying. I mean, this is a guy. This is one of the most memorable villains I've ever seen, and he has maybe 5 scenes, and he is creepy, man. And not only that, but his obsession with Gong Li's character goes without dialogue. That is all in your hands, which is a big thing about this movie, Miami Vice, which is you got to be paying attention, or maybe you don't want to, and if you don't want to, fine. But the information is there. I hark back to my review of Fury Road. We had a spoiler room on that. Not everything needs to be sad, man. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just got to watch the fucking movie, and the information is there. Not all these directors are going to come out and tell you exactly what to think. I'd like to think because of the success of Collateral that Michael Mann sort of took that visual approach and made an intelligent movie, which leads me to my next point. This is an action movie, maybe not an action movie. There's not that much action in it, which I think pissed a lot of people off, even though the end shootout is fucking epic. I think this is just a crime thriller. If you go into this expecting a lot of action like Heat, you're going to be bored. You're going to be looking at your watch. This is about interpersonal relationships on both sides of the drug war. And honestly, you don't have to have a stance in the drug war to like this movie, because unlike the TV series, these aren't just cocaine dealers. You know, these are scary individuals who hold political power over entire societies. I'm just going to mention Colin Farrell once more before I stop with my ranted raving here.
It's okay, go ahead.
I think there's a lot of negativity out there about Colin Farrell, and I think it's absolutely bullshit. I think a lot of it revolves around his sex life, to be quite frank. I think a lot of people run him into the ground because he was a promiscuous dude when he was becoming famous. And I think if you actually just watch the man's performances, you'll see this is a guy who goes for broke. This is, of all the cop movies I've watched where these, you know, people getting paid millions of dollars to pay cops who in real life are getting paid maybe 1/8 of their salary, maybe. I think this guy, I believe he's a cop. And not only that, I believe he's playing Gong Li's character, which is another astonishing bit. I've watched this with people who are astonished. The ending is heartbreaking. He was playing her all along, man. He knew what he was doing. He was not in too deep. He was a good cop who was playing this girl. And if you watch what Colin Farrell and Gong Li do with these roles, it is not only phenomenal, but kind of scary. I mean, these are what good narcs have to do. And if you've seen the footage of Colin Farrell preparing for the role, where they actually put him in a set-up deal where these people who he thought were real drug dealers went off on him, and he held his ground. He actually held his ground. He didn't say, "Oh, I'm an actor." He ripped open his shirt and said, "I'm not wearing a wire." He prepared for this role, and he was into this role. This is an amazing film. I'm surprised I got through this without crying, because I love Miami Vice. And when you mentioned we were doing TV to movie episode, I didn't think of this because I don't connect it to the TV series. I think Michael Mann very wisely realized, or knew all along, that Miami is actually a dark, gritty city, and you don't want to paint it with you don't want to paint it aesthetically in the cinematic world with bright pink flamingos and palm trees. And he didn't do that. Mm-hmm. This is an absolutely amazing film. This is one of my favorite films of all time, for sure.
You don't say. No, I love your passion, Cole. I love it. I love the fact that you enjoyed this movie quite a bit. And what I love about the fact is that he took a TV series and made an actually rated R action thriller, crime thriller out of it. You know, it's like this is what he wanted to do all along with the series, but you know,
yes!
So it did have that feel to it. Dawn, did you see the Miami Vice with Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx?
I did. I actually purchased it recently, and I watched it for the first time. And I have to tell you, Cole, thank you. I was not impressed with this movie the first time I saw it, and I really feel like I did not give it enough of a chance. Thank you, because I love when people convince me to give movies another chance and relook at them with a much more open mind, and you did that.
Well, thank you. I just love the film. I just love the film.
That actually goes for me too, because I saw this. Unlike Dawn, I did see this years ago. I missed it in the theater, so I saw it when it hit DVD. Now that means the only version I've seen is that quote-unquote director's cut.
Gross.
Yeah, it's the only version I've seen. I didn't know that it was that it was actually not the preferred director's cut.
It is
it was
not.
Like, it's kind of like a more in quotes thing, just like the Alien cut, the studio cut, the director's cut of that one too.
Not to interrupt you, I just want to say he mentions that right up front in his commentary. Look, this is an extended version, but it's not extended. And those are his exact words. It's like an experiment to appease the studio.
Wow. I got it. Because, I was a huge fan of the show in the 80s. Well, my brother was a huge show, and then I would watch the tapes, because he used to actually record all the episodes of Miami Vice on VHS tapes, and, I would just break in and, watch the episodes. And I was heard, oh my God, Michael Mann is doing a movie of his own show, Miami Vice. I love Michael Mann. Guys, if you ever get a chance to see Manhunter, it's one of the best fan movies ever.
Agreed.
It's a great movie. And so I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And then what caught me off guard right away with the movie, because I did not, I'm just like Dawn, and I did not really, I saw stuff in it, but I was like, yeah, it's not quite sitting with me. I don't quite get what's going on. Because what he did is basically he did the antithesis of what a lot of the visual feel of the TV show was. The visual feel of the show was very slick, quick cuts, shot on film, bright neon, beautiful suits and everything like this. This is shot on video and digital film. It's dingy. It's dark. It's gritty. And I was like, wow, that's not really what I thought of when I thought of Miami Vice. And so I think it was because I had so hard a time getting that I didn't really get it. I didn't get it. I now really want to see this again, and I want to track down that theatrical cut because
please do.
You really have convinced me. And maybe I won't like it. Maybe I will. I don't know. Yeah. But I really am desperate to just try to give this another shot now.
Well, and it was a bold move because the series had ended 16 years prior. So I mean, it had, here we have a TV movie coming out where pretty much your main audience is going to sit there and go, I kind of remember this maybe while I was drinking from my sippy cup. Paul,
great show.
Paul, did you see Miami Vice, the 2006 movie?
I did, and I did not like it. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, go ahead.
And the reason is because I did go into it with the wrong attitude. It has everything that I would probably like in a regular movie, but I was expecting the television show, and that's the wrong thing to do. But at the time, I was a lot younger, and that's the way I thought of it. I wanted the experience of the '80s again. I liked the pastel colors. I liked the the shoeless socks or the sockless shoes type of deal. I wanted that, and I didn't get that, and so I got so angry with the movie that I actually gave it. I didn't give it what it deserved. It really did need somebody that actually came into it with an open mind, and I automatically shut down right within 30 minutes of the film. It's like, this is not the film that I wanted to see, and so I wasn't going to give it a chance. But now listening to Cole, I probably should, now that I'm older, and I probably would appreciate it. But there's also still a part of me that still lives in the 80s, and I'll probably, I'm afraid that I would still continue doing that because I'm kind of stubborn.
No, but you make a good point. At least you admit it, buddy. But you make a good point. This is one of those TV movies that, if you're a fan of the show, you may want to avoid. Whereas if you were curious about the movie and didn't know much about the show, you probably appreciate it or enjoy it more.
I think you would.
Sure.
Yeah.
Glenn, what about you with Miami Vice?
So much like Cole, I saw this when it came out and did not like it because it was not Miami Vice. I have since rewatched it. I still do not like it.
Wow.
I think one of the biggest things for me is I did not catch any glimpse of the chemistry between Don Johnson and I forget the original actor's name who played Tubbs.
Right.
Michael Thomas.
Yes, they had great chemistry in that TV show, and I just didn't see the chemistry between Farrell and Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was for me that's a big part of Miami Vice is those two characters and how they work together, and I just didn't see that with them in this. And as far as Colin Farrell being a good actor, I like Colin Farrell in a lot of stuff, but almost everything I like him in, it's when he plays an Irish guy. And I mean, some of my favorite roles of his are in the film Intermission. I love him in, and stuff like that, and just and in Bruges, and I think he's a great actor in those roles. I tend not to like him in a lot of other things, and that might just be me, and being like, "You're fucking Irish, act fucking Irish," you know. And that might just be me. So yeah, this one I never really I've seen it 2.5 times probably, and just not a fan. I didn't think it was awful by any means. You know, it's not like I watched it and said, "Oh my God, that was terrible." I'm just like, and I'm one of those people where if it's a show that I really liked, I do get kind of defensive about it when they remake something. I'm like, well, that's not the show. You know, it's the or worse when they do it with a book, and this one isn't really that far off of the TV show. It really isn't that far off, but just I think it was the lack of chemistry between the two leads. I just couldn't get into it.
You just didn't feel it. Yeah, and I can see.
I do like Colin Farrell though. I mean, I liked him. I of course missed a lot of his earlier stuff, but I immediately saw as soon as I saw him in Tigerland, which is like one of I'd say it's my second favorite Joel Schumacher film. It's one of those films where you say like, wait, despite what he's done with Batman and stuff, no, this guy's actually a decent director. Colin Farrell in Tigerland was great, and I've been a fan of his ever since. I'm happy that he still gets big parts because let's face it, this guy has been involved with more bombs than ISIS. Okay, no, seriously, like I mean, Alexander, who's gonna recover from that? Even though it's got fans, including Mr. Meredith here. Miami Vice was
it made its money back on DVD, which is why there's 4 cuts of it.
Miami Vice, but like it's been like, but he still gets like a lot of big parts, and I'm so happy that he does because I think he's a really good actor, and I'm glad he continues to take risky parts. He takes parts in Hollywood films, and he takes part in smaller films. Like a few years ago, Seven Psychopaths was a great movie.
It is. That was a fun movie, definitely, and. Colin Farrell, he does better when he's playing the Irish, though.
I like him all the time.
I will admit, I did like him in Fright Night, the remake of Fright Night.
Fright Night. I thought he was great in Fright Night. Yeah, that is one of them where.
I think it's because it may be because of some of his early life, personal life stuff that he. Just something about him, he plays kind of a sleazy guy really well. So, but that's not all he plays well. Because I mean, other things he's been in. It's the fact that he still does some smaller stuff. He did one probably like 5 or 6 years ago called Undine, where he's like he's a fisherman in Ireland, I think is where it is, and it's just he plays it completely different from every other character he's ever played. And he's actually really good in that one.
Well, just like he did in Bruges, and even though that's a film that's bigger on rental here in the States than or what, I mean, that's a film that didn't really get wide release. I liked him in that. I didn't quite care for the film, but I enjoyed his performance in it. So
you're just, oh my gosh.
I
Converge
know.
is a great movie.
I have no taste.
Yeah, you're wrong.
That's one I have to give. Thank you. That's one I have to give another shot on because first time I watched it, I was kind of sleepy. So, William, did you happen to see the Miami Vice 2006?
Miami Vice. Why does that sound so familiar? I don't think so.
No. No.
It rings a bell though.
Yeah. Well, it's 2006 remake of the not remake, but movie version of the show from I think went from 86 to 90, or 84 to 90, I think it was. It ran for quite some time, so you should be interested if you're a Colin Farrell fan. You may want to check it out. Andrew, you're the last one that didn't weigh in. Miami Vice, have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen I think every Michael Mann on the big screen since the 90s, whenever Last of the Mohicans was out. So I think he's a great filmmaker. I didn't really give a crap about the show when I was a kid. It was more my dad watched it. I thought it was boring, but the movie's awesome. Love it.
Great. And so excellent pick there, Cole. I love the opinions on this film. So check it out. Yeah, unfortunately it didn't do well in the box office, but as Cole said, it did make it back in rentals, which thanks to, I believe it was Austin Powers, the studios took that into account for a success of a film nowadays. Well, it is true. Since Austin Powers suddenly, because Austin was wasn't it that one that kind of bombed in the theaters, but it did fantastically in rental. And
when I saw the trailer for Austin Powers, I said, that's going to be a huge hit. And then it came out and everybody said, that movie bombed. I said, wait.
and suddenly studios took notice of rentals. So, Miami Vice, check it out. And if you're a fan of the show, may want to avoid it. But Cole here definitely makes an excellent argument for the movie. So we're going to move on then here to, I want to get to Andrew's pick. Andrew, what film did you bring for us this evening?
Oh, I picked an obscure Fox television series from the 80s that was made into a Pixar movie, Inside Out. The show is called Herman's Head. And so William Rags Taylor, Fright Night that we mentioned. No, I'm just kidding. My choice is Jackass, the MTV series.
Andrew, can I tell you right now, you always surprise me. When you mention this film, I was like, I did not peg you for a Jackass movie fan. Why don't you tell our fine listeners out there who may not be familiar with this a turn-of-the-century film?
Well, it's on the shelves right next to my John Cassavetes Criterion Collection. So, I mean, what do I know about movies? I guess nothing. I think I love the show Jackass, and that might have been my teenage background from being a skateboarder. And just loving watching skate videos where people are just, falling and eating it and all of that stuff. I really loved Jackass. It was, I couldn't stop laughing at it. It was just, to me, it was just great. And I mean, Jackass started before there was YouTube. So you got to remember, I couldn't log in and watch skate fails and all these different things. And I sit up late at night when I can't sleep. I get on YouTube and I just watch skateboarding videos of people falling and getting hurt. I mean, I don't know what it is, but it triggers something in me from being a kid and just having fun with my friends. But I really love Jackass, and I'm serious about the movies. I think they're really brilliant comedy pieces. Because if you look at just take the first Jackass movie, I think they're all great. But take just the first one. There are so many moments in that movie, so many of the little vignettes. For those who've never seen it or think they're too good to watch it, it's basically like part carnival freak, part stuntman, part daredevil, part comedian, part geek. It's a big combination of things, and these guys basically just do pranks and stunts for the duration of the show. And in the film, there's just more of them put together, but they didn't have the hang-up of being censored by MTV and cable television. They basically got an uncensored format in the theater. So it was pedal to the metal. It was fantastic. And my point is that in the Jackass movie, take any number of the most memorable moments in that. those parts would be the talking points of if they were in a big studio comedy or an indie comedy or anything. Take any of those gags and you'll be like, man, did you go see blank? Can you believe the part where he put the toy car in his ass and he went to the doctor and they found the x-ray? Like, that would be like a big memorable moment if it was in like a Farrelly Brothers movie. It would be considered classic. Sure. But you put it in the Jackass movie, and it's just stupid entertainment for mouth-breathing lowlives that are entertained by anything. But my belief, and when I reviewed Jackass 3D, the third one, which is the best live-action 3D film I've ever seen in a theater as far as how it looked, I don't know what cameras they shot it with, but it looked amazing. To me, these are like the descendant of the Three Stooges, Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, Harold Lloyd. These guys are getting hurt for comedy in the most direct, simple, basic way possible. But what they do is they kind of hit on something that's like a little homoerotic, but it's also just like how much can you kind of stand as a viewer. But there's nothing like being in a theater audience watching people react to a Jackass movie. I wish they put one out every year, but these guys would be dead.
Sure.
I was rewatching the first one just because I hadn't seen it in years, just so I could get on this show and talk about it. I'm dying laughing. My wife is in the kitchen. She looks over. She's dying laughing. I'm sorry, but I don't think I'm too good to laugh at that stuff. I just don't. I have to. I'm very in touch with what makes me laugh. And as comedy, it's just, to me, it's just undeniable. There's a great part in the movie where a guy goes into a hardware store and takes a crap inside one of the hardware stores.
Oh my god!
And I was in tears in my house watching a movie I've seen several times. I mean, it just, to me, I don't know, man. I just really love it. To me, it's just, and this will be it. I'm telling you, there's a moment in part 2, and I consider this to be like surrealist art. There's a shot, and it looks like it's a living room or a bedroom. It looks like a bathroom, right? And you kind of don't exactly know. There's something off about this bathroom you're seeing. Just in the moment where your mind goes, I'm looking at a dollhouse, the second that clicks in your head, a turd falls onto the toilet. Someone is sitting on top of the dollhouse taking a crap in the dollhouse toilet. To me, that's great. Like, I could see like Salvador Dali doing something like that.
I can see that.
I missed that painting of his.
Yeah. So I love them, man. It's to me, it's just it's what so many movies think they're too good to do. But in any comedy trailer you see, Vacation's a perfect example. Swimming around in crap, things like that. The beats in the trailer that the audiences always laugh at are when people are doing embarrassing things or getting hurt. This movie is just going ahead and doing away with all the pretense and making you laugh. I mean, it is very, I don't know. There's nothing pretentious about it. The pretentiousness is on the side of the critics that I felt forced to have to watch this, and somehow it's okay for TV, but in cinema it's not cinema. It's very entertaining. Jackass 1, 2, and 3 are among the funniest movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
All right. Well,
I mean, I don't like the Jackass movies. But you know what? I do recognize them as like being transgressive and even kind of punk in a way and everything like that. I think that and my friends all think I'm crazy for not liking them. My friends love these movies, and they keep on trying to like make me watch them and stuff, and they've made me watch, and I've watched like most of part 2, and they actually took me to see part 3 and stuff. But I'm not a fan, but I do recognize them as transgressive thing. Like, I think that I don't really look down on them personally, because one of my personal sayings is that, you know, I don't have guilty pleasures, I have pleasures. Mm-hmm. So I mean, like, I don't feel like anybody should worry about like how they feel about something. I will say that I always found the origins of the show to be suspect. It's like, you know, apparently it all came about because they were bored. They would be bored in the middle of the afternoon because they just lived in the middle of nowhere and stuff. I thought, okay, I've been bored too. But if someone jumps up and says, okay, I'm going to blow up a balloon and tie it on the end of my dick, you pop it and make sure the camera is running, that's actually something someone's been planning to do for some time.
Oh,
So
no.
like when someone says,
No
I'm bored, like this is my moment.
No, that's not what happened at all. This
okay.
no, Jeff Tremaine, the creator, and Spike Jonze, they're both really good. They were accomplished experimental filmmakers before the show happened.
Yeah.
It was Johnny Knoxville who was like trying to get a job as a writer, and he was going to do these articles about allowing things to be done to him, and they're like, why don't you film them? And so there were already tapes. Big Brother series was really good series of skate videos, and it was kind of the combination of all of that. But I mean, it is punk, it is transgressive, and it is anarchy on the screen. And I mean, there's the fart helmet, man. Yeah. Where they make him wear his helmet and they fart into it and blow the fart in there. I think puking is hilarious. First of all, but I watch videos of people throwing up, and I'm not watching videos of like scabs coming off or people dying or anything like that. But I think vomit is hilarious. With the sounds that people make, and it just, to me, I don't know. So Lance Bangs is the cameraman, and he's like got a very weak stomach and is often seen vomiting in the show. Steve-O as well. I think in one part he snorts some wasabi and pukes right on the sushi. I'm sorry, man. I'm laughing like I'm trying
to. When I watched this, I saw. I posted 20 minutes of watching this, and I'm sitting there thinking, there's not enough beer in the world for this. And then Steve-O started on the wasabi, and he started throwing up. I have issues with spit. I don't have issues with vomit. I work in the healthcare field. I don't have issues with vomit. I don't have issues with poop or pee or any of that. But I have issues with spit. And I just about lost everything. My stomach just about went. I could not deal with that.
Yeah, as a punk rock vocalist in my teens, I got spit on a lot, so I don't know.
Oh.
It smells like you don't wipe it. That's the thing. You don't wipe it off.
Let's not make Don ill.
The only thing I got nauseous from, because everybody said like, oh, we're gonna show this to Scott and he's gonna get really grossed out. The only thing I actually got nauseous from was not in the first Jackass movie, which I know is what we're basically covering. It was in the third one when they took me to see it at the theater, and the sweatsuit came on, and I was like, okay, gotta put my head down. I'm like, nope. I can watch the rest of the sweatsuit got me.
No, the greatest prank those guys ever pulled off was that the popularity of the show and the fact that they got in the 3D in the theater. That's the biggest trick. Yeah. Out of all the stunts they did,
that is
the fact that critics had to watch them
and they made some serious bank too.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, Glenn, what about you? Have you seen Jackass the movie?
I've seen the Jackass movie. Yes, I have. When it comes to sophomoric type humor like this kind of basically bathroom humor, I think there are two types of people: people who find it funny, and people who are deluding themselves into thinking it's not, because they should be laughing, because, as Andrew said, puking is funny. With the exception of those few people who have the weak stomachs who can't handle it, fine. I will excuse you. But the rest of you,
Thank you.
I mean, come on, really? How can Fart Helmet not be funny?
Fart Helmet's the best, oh my god.
Oh god!
Just in the movies and the original TV show, I mean, the fact that, this is what most people spend their time. You see those videos on YouTube where it's someone getting hurt or someone doing something stupid. You click on it, and this is just said, here you go. It's a whole movie of this. People doing this intentionally. Not that they're complete morons. They know what they're doing. But
I really appreciated that they actually had an EMT with them to make sure that nobody got seriously and permanently hurt.
Oh yeah. No, it's professionally done, and they always have that warning on.
Sure.
Because they could definitely be sued by people if one of them died. A good example, the riot pellet that just shot at Johnny Knoxville in the stomach in the first one. They had to actually, make sure that wasn't going to kill him, because whoever shot at him would have been, have to be
liable.
Run in.
Oh yeah.
So very, very careful about that.
Yeah. Cole, what about you, Jackass?
Well, I think Andrew specifically and Glenn also hit on why Jackass is, I don't want to say important, but a valid form of filmmaking, which is that they're not just winging it. These are not just dumb asses diving at a ceiling fan. They're not. These are actors. These are, in some cases, I believe, professional stuntmen.
Yeah.
This is the work of writers. This is the work of every member of the people you see on screen submit diagrams of the stunts they want in the movie. These diagrams go through a certain elimination process, and then it makes the film. I'm sorry, I think somebody is vacuuming. I'm having a hard time hearing. I apologize if that's my audio, but if the static is coming from me, I apologize. But in any case, Jackass. I really think it's funny, and it's funny from a more calculated position than I think the majority of American audiences realize. These dudes aren't winging it, and nor are they always laughing when they're laughing. These are actors. This is milked. This is directed. This is carefully edited to be as funny as it can be. And in terms of the movies, I think they just got better and better. In terms of, I think Bad Grandpa is the best of the four. And
oh God, when he craps on the wall in the diner, I fell out of my seat.
I mean, that was one of my first dates with my girlfriend. And it was my thing, like, because I am a filmmaker, but I'm also a film critic. I'm both, and it constantly tears me apart. How can I tear apart other people's films if I'm making them? But I tell you, man, we laughed so goddamn hard. I mean, Jackass is actually, in a way, very intellectual humor. In its own way, it's very intellectual. Especially, there's if you go on Netflix right now, there is Bad Grandpa, all the stuff they didn't use. Actually, they put the special features from the DVD on Netflix. Highly recommend you watching it, because these pranks are intricate, man. These are not, they just don't walk into a bar and just start doing crazy shit. They plan this out for, I would assume, 6 months to a year, knowing what the pre-production is like. I respect it from that angle, and also, as Andrew and Glenn both said, it's funny as hell. And you guys know me. I'm not amused by farts. I'm not amused by puke. What I am amused by is any sort of sophistication put behind anything. Anything that is given thought impresses me, because being thoughtless is super easy, and it pisses me off. And Jackass is awesome. The movies are great. Unfortunately, the first movie is my least favorite of all four of them, but I enjoy it, for sure.
Well, what I forgot to mention is that the show was over by the time they did the movies, and so the public already knew who these guys were. So a lot of the scenes are shot in Japan. They had to get more and more creative with each successive film because of their celebrity. So it kind of necessitated the kind of preparation and creative thought. I wanted to tie it back into the show real quick, because I forgot to mention that.
Sure. Well, William, what about you, Jackass?
Oh, this brings me back to my teen years. Let's see. I remember when I first saw the show. My grandma walked in and stood there and started watching it, and she's like, "You watch some of the most stupid stuff I've ever seen." I'm like, "You just don't understand the comedy." And then when I heard there was a movie, I immediately went to Walmart and picked it up, brought it home, watched it, and like everybody said so far, it was really good. It's amazing of what all they can do, and just get up and walk away from half of the stuff they do. I actually have all of them. I've seen 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, Bad Grandpa, Bad Grandpa 0.5, and I've even played the video game. I used to love that so much.
You'd think Grandma would at least appreciate all the male nudity that's in the movies.
That is true.
A lot of penis. You know, there's the one part where the black bar is over the dick, and then the bar just sort of floats away.
Yes.
I think that's in 2 or 3. I don't remember which one. It's so good.
And, Paul, what about you, sir?
I'm going to start out by saying public flatulence is something that I do not. It grosses me out. I don't enjoy it. There's something in my past happened, and that's what causes this great fear in me. And
Sure.
I won't go into it, but that's why public flatulence is not funny to me.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, this movie does make me laugh because it has great scenes in it. The unexpectedness that occurs in the movie. It's also very much like they always talk about the train wreck. You can't turn away.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I felt watching it. I'm not going to go to the movie theaters for this. I will watch it on Netflix, something like that. And the gross out gags I don't like. I don't laugh through them. But the stunts that they perform,
Yes.
and just the unexpectedness of those things is just wow, and amazing that they put themselves through this. And I have to give them like thumbs up for that. But again, the gross out stuff, it isn't in my wheelhouse, which is funny because I like horror and I like blood. But when you have fecal matter in it, it just ugh.
I have to say that poop jokes are probably the only thing that I don't exactly laugh at. So, but other than that, yeah, it's fun. It definitely before you had your YouTubes. So at least the first one, actually the first 2, the second one came out just as YouTube. So you didn't have all those fail compilations. So this is where it's at, and it was actually constructive, well thought out fail videos that weren't exactly fails, but if you're looking for something to compare it to what's out now everywhere, yeah, these guys did that, but they did do it in a creative and surprisingly well thought out plan, even though they play it off as kind of being spontaneous. Excuse me. Brain fart there. So, interesting choice on there, Andrew. And it sounds like a lot of people really enjoyed the film. So, glad you brought that one along. It's definitely one to think about. I might have to watch it again on that. I'm not sure because again, some of that humor in it is up my alley, and some of it isn't. So. Excellent choice, though. And Scott, what about you, sir? What movie did you bring?
Okay, well, there's actually probably one that's more serious and everything and more epic that I love even more just because it's one of my favorites. But I revisited this other movie and I want to talk about it so much, and I think it's more timely and everything. So
okay, go for it.
My pick is Josie and the Pussycats.
Yay.
And I want to give you a little bit of history in case anybody's rolling their eyes out there and hasn't seen the movie, because when this movie came out, I was one of you. They started marketing this movie. If you look at the trailer, it looks like the most cliched tripe you've ever seen. And I was one of those really snooty, like, grrr people who said, man, they have to ruin everything. Fucking Hollywood, always out of good ideas. Man, fuck this movie. This movie bomb. This movie bomb. Good. It deserved a bomb. That show was so awesome. Why'd they have to do that? And I was really pissed off about it. Flash forward, about 6 months later, it's on pay-per-view, and I got laid off from my job. And my apartment got sold. No one's lease got renewed, so I was stuck home with at my folks' place. So I'm really bummed out. I pop on the pay-per-view, say, yeah, hell with it. I'll reimburse Dad the $4. I'm bored, and this movie comes on and blows my mind and shames me for thinking the way I did because I was suckered in by the advertising. Here's the plot of Josie and the Pussycats, the movie. It starts out with a boy band, a really crappy boy band that has got all the teenage girls screaming. The boy band is incidentally made up of uncredited people that you recognize, like Breckenmeyer, Seth Green, Donald Faison, and I think Alexander Jordan is the other one I want to say his name is. And they're singing a song called Backdoor Lover. And they're called Du Jour, and they're like the big pop thing flavor of the minute, and all for them. They get on the plane, they start telling their manager Wyatt, played by Alan Cumming, that, hey, we heard this weird thing on our music. And right away, Alan Cumming kind of smiles, goes into the cockpit, says to the pilot, "Take the Chevy to the levee," which is the code, musical code for crash the plane. The day the music died, and so they kill this band off, and they said, we need a new band because Wyatt and his superior Fiona is involved with the government in a decades-long insidious plot to implant subliminal messaging into all popular forms of entertainment, especially pop and rock music, in order to get 18 to 24-year-olds to jump on meaningless trends and spend their money to better feed the capitalist regime. Holy crap! Then you meet Josie and the Pussycats. who are this, struggling rock band. They're not, really trying to be like a big pop sensation. They're gigging. They're doing what they do. They practice. They write their songs. They play their own instruments. And they're gigging. They're going to any crappy place that'll have them, which is often a bowling alley, or often a lane in a bowling alley. Wyatt sees them, knowing he needs a quick replacement. Without ever hearing their music, he offers them a contract with Mega Records, the biggest company in the world, and we're going to make you the #1 stars in the world. And they do within about a week. Everybody's talking about Josie and the Pussycats even before they hear the music, and once they hear the music, they are even more into it. And the band starts to split apart, and you actually get every single beat that you would get in every cliched movie about this. The band starts to fight with each other. Josie starts to take a little bit too much prominence. They start to wonder if they mean as much. They start to say, we need to stick together. Will fame change us? Will the cutest guy like me? All those beats, you get it. But you also get it at this absolutely wonderful, subversive comedy about trends and commercialism and everything. And the movie winds up being this fun, high-spirited adventure comedy that is just hilarious from beginning to end with endearing characters. And yet it is a brutal satire on exactly the audience that you would expect it to play into. The reason I thought this movie would be timely is that we are recording this episode in August of 2015. I think it is next month in September when we're supposed to get the Gem and the Holograms movie. If you've seen the trailer, and I'm trying not to be as knee-jerk in my judgment as I was at the Josie and the Pussycats trailer. However, if you've seen the trailer for the Gem and the Holograms movie, it looks like Josie and the Pussycats. Except done without any of the comedy, any of the satire, or any of the irony.
And her dad is a robot.
No, I don't even think it is in this one. Is it? Because I think
we've seen a robot in the trailer for Gem and the Holograms. So
there's a new trailer that has her dad as a robot, and I'm like, oh, you lost me.
Actually, that intrigues me more because it looked just so cliched.
Well, I'm definitely going.
And so I don't know if we're going to get that again, but I remember seeing the first trailer for Gem and not wanting to pass too much of a blanket judgment. I thought, this is going to be a really easy movie to make fun of. And I thought, wait, they already did. It was called Josie and the Pussycats, and they made it 14 years ago. Josie and the Pussycats is such the opposite movie of what you expect it to be. It is fun for all the reasons it presents itself to be, but it's also got all this other great stuff going on with it. And the music is incredible, I want to say. Do you like 90s alternative acts? I do. Kay Hanley of Letters to Cleo writes a lot of the music, also is the voice of Josie and the Pussycats. Also, you've got on the songwriting team, Jane Weedland of the Go-Go's, one of the greatest bands ever. Anna Waronker of That Dog. Adam Duras of Counting Crows. Adam Schlesinger of Ivy and Fountains of Wayne, and a Broadway winner. Dave Gibbs of Gigolo Aunts. Babyface, who produces the soundtrack and has a hilarious cameo as the ousted member of the Captain and Tennille team, the Indian Chief. This movie is hilarious and is completely the opposite of what you'd expect. It's really one of the most underappreciated films of the century so far, I think.
Wow, excellent argument.
I love this movie.
You don't say.
Oh, I'm just, and I was rewatching this the other night. I knew I wanted to talk about, I love this movie. Yeah, that's what I should be doing, and I switched my movie. And so I want to talk about it. So I revisited this just last night again, just to refresh myself, saying, yeah, because I remember liking this. Man, I got even more excited because as soon as I was watching this again, I was just howling from beginning to end. It is such a funny movie. The cast is so great. You got Rachel Lee Cook, Rosario Dawson, and hey, let's just say because you don't get to hear this a lot, Tara Reid is awesome in this movie.
Well, some people who enjoy Sharknado thought she was all right in that.
She's great.
But
as Melanie, she is great because she doesn't just play a ditz in this movie. She plays a ditz, but someone who's just naive and kind of just overly optimistic and everything. And the way she does it goes beyond just playing a dummy. It's a really good performance.
And it is based off an animated TV show, correct?
Yeah, based on animated TV, kind of based on a comic book, so I did cheat.
Right.
But
but there was an animated. It was an animated show as well.
It was a Saturday morning cartoon, and because this movie bombed, we are missing out on what would have been the inevitable sequel, Josie in Outer Space.
Don, what about you? Your feelings on Josie and the Pussycats?
I think Scott said it all. I mean, it's a cute movie, and it's. I want to say it's ironic, because of all the reasons Scott said. It promotes itself to be. They become famous for the exact reasons that they're mocking, that they don't want to be famous because. Yeah. Okay, that's just weird.
What?
Do you hear that?
I don't hear that.
Oh.
Uh-oh, it's unfriended. We've got a ghost, and it's haunting us, and it's the ghost of TV movies past.
Is it the
Pussycats? I was talking about the noise, man.
Yeah, there was that weird noise.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything.
I didn't either. So far it's moving down the line. It's the
It's on one end.
Speaking of Glenn, have you seen Josie and the Pussycats, Glenn?
I have.
That was just too weird.
And,
Sorry about that.
No,
Carry on.
What'd you think of it?
I will concede some points that Scott makes. I think in no way is this one of the most underrated films of the century.
You may have oversold it there.
I don't know if I would call it one of the more underrated movies of 2001. I thought it was an average film. I think part of it is I think the satire was actually pretty good, but I think it kind of gets lost in the kind of just overt silliness of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I just despise Tara Reid. Though I don't like her. I've never liked her. I have never really cared for her at all. But you have Parker Posey, who I adore. So I mean, she could be in here for 1 second. That's enough to outweigh Tara Reid. So Tara Reid isn't my reason why I dislike this. Or it's not that I dislike it. It's kind of how I feel about Miami Vice. It's a film. That's all I can. It's not really. I haven't gone back and rewatched this one because I don't really feel a desire to.
Sure.
And and I was never really a huge Josie and the Pussycats fan when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught it every now and again just by being a kid, and I was too lazy because we didn't have remote controls. Changing the channel meant I actually had to stand up, walk away from my Tonka trucks, and change the channel, and that just wasn't happening.
Yeah, and if you had like G.I. Joe or Mask or something following it, or whatever show after it, Looney Tunes,
exactly.
You just left it on because yeah.
So
better things to do than change the channel.
And I remember when it came out, a friend of mine didn't like the fact because he didn't like all of the product placement, and I'm like, that is kind of the point of the movie.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people, I don't care for that much, but I at least understand what they were trying to do.
Sure.
I think a lot of people who don't like this film, the whole concept of the film and the satire just went completely over their heads.
Right.
They were just expecting something about a girl band, and they didn't quite get that, and they're just like, well, what's all this other? What's I don't understand, because audiences are stupid.
Yes.
Yep.
And Andrew, have you seen Josie?
I'm a huge fan of it as well. It's kind of like with Wayne's World and the Brady Bunch movie. They're better than anybody had any right to be, and better than anybody expected them to be. And I went to see it because I'm a fan of the people. The first movie they made was called Can't Hardly Wait, as one of the best high school movies ever. Mm-hmm. And so I was really excited about Josie, and yeah, I loved it. And I think actually my favorite scene is with Tara Reid. She's singing "If You're Happy and You Know It." But she's in the shower and she keeps dropping this loofah thing or sponge that she's got. When she was at Days of the Dead, I brought my snare drum to have her sign.
But the loofah she was washing herself with was a stuffed French fries from McDonald's. It was awesome.
I do think it's one of the most underrated movies of the century. Definitely.
Thank you.
That's two for what.
And I say that because one is nobody's expecting it, and two, it has a rewatchable quality, and it only gets more and more valid as time goes. For every joke that people aren't going to get, like who Movie Phone was or things like that, there's just so much that's prophetic about it. I do need to mention, because nobody said, Missy Pyle in the movie is hysterical as well. I really, really love her. And Parker Posey, of course, with the potato chip, puts one on a plate. You'd say, "Oh God!" I love the movie. I could go on, but I won't. I love it.
Well, and while I respect your opinion, Andrew, why don't you leave the movie reviewing to the professionals?
I should. You're right.
Oh. Okay, I may have to go back and rewatch this.
You guys are making solid arguments here. Cole, what about you? Josie and the Pussycats? Did you see it?
Yeah, man. I just watched it again in preparation for the show. It was colorful and it was fun. I didn't get everything Scott got from it. Mm-hmm. Again, probably because of my own selfishness. I was just so excited to be able to talk about Miami Vice. I was like, come on. I'm the only person in the world who apparently sees that as a life-changing experience. But I enjoyed it, again, I think, and I'm not, pigeonholing Glenn in the statement. I'm just saying if you look at any person's personal life when you watch a movie, you're gonna have a hard time. I mean, unless you're like Jared Fogle or something, just forget about it.
I don't know squat about Tara Reid's personal life.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I don't like her as an actress.
Oh, gotcha. my misunderstanding.
I've heard some things where she's not nice, but that doesn't.
She's really, 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 really weird. And
the only actor I judge by their personal life is Tom Cruise.
Gotcha. Well, just to go back to Josie and the Pussycats, and again, Glenn, I wasn't trying to. I was just.
Oh no, I know, but I wanted to make sure.
A lot of people.
I think there's a certain fuck Tara Reid thing out there that's totally unjustified.
There definitely is.
A lot of like hot, glamorous blonde actresses who've done much shittier movies who get much better street cred for whatever reason. I think that she's okay. I think she's a decent actress. She did a movie which I believe is called The Harvest. It's a super independent movie Just Wikipedia Tara Reid and look at her filmography for 2012 or 2013. You're going to find a very unique, independent, low-budget horror movie in there that's really cool. I like this movie. I think it's colorful and it's inventive, and I like Rosario Dawson, obviously. As Scott mentioned, I'm a Alexander fan and also a Clerks 2 fan.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I think she's great. I just like the movie. I don't think it's, again, it didn't knock me out of my seat, and I know next to nothing about the source material, but I would recommend this to my teenage daughter if I had one, for sure.
Awesome. William, what about you? Have you seen Josie?
No, not yet, but I've been meaning to watch it for a very long time. And even though these two movies are not related, I have seen Spice World.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
So when I heard that there was a movie called Josie and the Pussycats, I had to look into it because I didn't know what it was at first, and then I said, oh, this is based off of an animated series. Maybe this would be good. Thank you for bringing that up again because I had forgot about it.
You know what? I don't even like the Spice Girls, but I actually love Spice World.
And that's another podcast
Awesome
altogether.
movie.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Andrew, you and I are hanging one of these days.
Paul, why don't we?
It came out, man. I loved it.
Paul, did you see Josie? Do you want to wrap it up?
Sure.
Josie?
I can say that it was the most profound movie in my life, and if I don't watch it at least 5 times every day, I turn into a sarcastic jerk.
Wow! What the hell?
Seriously, though, I was not impressed by the film. It's not the type of movie that I'm interested in.
Holy shit, dude!
Yeah, that's not bad.
But I do like to say good things about a movie that deserve it. It does have some wonderful actors. I did remember liking parts of it. Wow. But I was young. I was like, I didn't get the premise of the film because at that time I was the casual viewer. I wasn't a critic type of person. So I wasn't watching it for the inside of it. I was just watching it for, oh, hey, Cook, Dawson, and Reed are in here. Yay! Wait, this isn't a porn.
No, though, but I'm sure there was a parody made of it at some point.
I'm sure there was.
Sure.
There always is.
Not directly based on the movie, no.
No, but close enough. So,
No,
Josie the Pussycat. If you haven't heard it here, strong arguments for you to go watch it. I have to watch this one again. But definitely, for some of these fine folks, it is the most underrated film of the century.
I still, you know what? Screw that. I stand by that comment.
For the previous century, it was Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion.
That's a great movie too. That's a great movie too. And okay, I just want to say, Cole, real quick, because you were mentioning Tara Reid's movie, and you said The Harvest. I'm trying to find it. Is it The Fields?
Yes, The Fields.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
I was saying, I've seen The Harvest. I didn't think Tara Reid was in that.
No, because there's a million movies called The Harvest and stuff. So I was actually looking up.
No, The Fields. You gotta check that out. It is so creative.
That's why I'm mentioning it. It's going on my list. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. Check it out, man.
So we're gonna get to Dawn's. Yes, Dawn is outside of my choice if anyone cares, but we'll go to that one later, maybe if we have time. But I want to get Dawn's because Dawn's is an awesome one. Dawn, which one did you bring to the table today?
I am still torn as to which one we should talk about. I know which one would be the better conversation.
Follow your heart.
Shit.
Come on.
So for the better conversation, I'm going to go ahead and go with Twilight Zone the movie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think my other pick is important to talk about, but for the better conversation, definitely Twilight Zone the movie.
Which,ever one you want to talk about.
And I think your other pick, Dawn, I think we could talk for 3 episodes on.
Exactly. Exactly.
Why don't you mention what your other pick was, just so that folks know.
Serenity.
Yes, we could have a whole podcast.
We could have a whole podcast just on that alone. Twilight Zone. Yes, we should.
All right, I'm penciling it in, folks. Yes, you've convinced the host and moderator here. Yes, okay. We will do a Serenity one this year, okay? Let's get to Twilight Zone, the movie. Go, Dawn. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this film?
So, Twilight Zone, the movie, made in the early 80s, is an anthology film based on three classic episodes and one original story, and don't remember which one the original story is. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I think it's Kick the Can, but I'm not sure.
I think it is too. I think Kick the Can is, but
is
so basically 4 stories that we've got for this anthology, and directed by 4 different directors.
Yeah, John Landis, Glenn Miller,
George Miller.
George Miller, yeah, Glenn Miller. Somebody completely different.
I don't think Glenn. Man, I would love that if Glenn Miller got up there 1 and a 2 and what a lovely day.
Yeah.
But
wouldn't it be great if he came back from the plane crash he disappeared in?
Yeah,
the movie? That would have been a total. What a Twilight Zone twist to Twilight Zone the movie.
Yes, George Miller, John Landis, Joe Dante, and
Steven Spielberg.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I'm pretty sure that's what reinforces the idea that Kick the Can was an original, because that's the one that Steven Spielberg did.
Yes, and if it was Kick the Can was from the original series.
Oh, was it?
According to the trivia, yeah. I'm looking up to see if I can find
the trivia.
Well, Spielberg was going to do something different originally, and then due to the tragedy on the first segment, he went with Kick the Can as sort of a lighter alternative. You know?
Yes, because this is the film that actually is cursed. If anyone follows anything in filmdom, this film has a history of being cursed. But that's the behind-the-scenes stuff. In front of the screen, though, we got 4 really interesting stories, don't we, Dawn?
We do indeed, and also wonderful. I love Dan Aykroyd.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely adore him. I love that the opening segment is him and Albert Brooks doing their thing, and singing the very fittingly singing the television theme songs.
Yes, the television.
Very fitting.
With Albert Brooks, yeah.
With Albert Brooks, and this was kind of the before meta was cool. It was a self-aware film.
Exactly. So you have that introduction, which is great, and then you have your first segment, which is called Time Out, which is about which stars Vic Morrow as a racist, bigot, very unlikable fellow who gets a taste of his own prejudices.
Yes.
As he experiences awfulness in the form of World War II, Vietnam, the KKK, etc. Then we go into Kick the Can, which that's my favorite of the segments. I may or may not have a soft spot for the elderly people in the universe.
But that's okay because it's a sweet story.
It is. It's an adorable story about finding your youth and holding on to it. It's a Good Life is, I don't know. That one is a weird one.
With the kid?
With the kid who
can wish anything.
Gets anything he wishes for.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nightmare on 20,000 feet with John Lithgow and taking up the role that Will Shatner played, which brilliantly done. And of course the epilogue, back to Dan Aykroyd.
It's such a great anthology. I watched it literally just before the show. That was the last one that I was able to sneak in, and I forgot how many people were in this too. Now I know some of our listeners, are younger listeners and that, but there are actually, you watch this, there are a lot of people in here. We mentioned Albert Brooks, Dan Aykroyd. You have John Lithgow in here, who after this really got a lot of the really crazy guy roles. I think because of his performance in here. But what's also great is they make mention of Burgess Meredith in that opening scene with Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks, and then Burgess is narrating the film.
Yep.
How cool is that? Andrew, Twilight Zone the movie, your thoughts on this film?
I'm a huge Twilight Zone TV show fan. Like, me and my dad watched it on all holidays. I don't know. It's the greatest writing in TV, period. Except for Jackass, of course. But, like,
Of course.
yeah, the movie, to me, I can't watch it without thinking about the accident. I know we're trying to dodge talking about that because it could be a whole conversation, but
Right.
yeah, I got the book Hollywood Hex. I've also read the book Outrageous Behavior. I mean, it's impossible for me. Even watching Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, where Vic Morrow drives a helicopter at the end of that movie, makes me think about Twilight Zone the movie. It's just, to me, one of the most disturbing stories in Hollywood history. I do like that they remade 3 old episodes. That's really cool because it's neat to see like another director's take or an updated version of those, because they're the old ones are in black and white, and they picked some really awesome ones, and I love what they did with them. Special effects are incredible, particularly in Dante's. There's just a laundry list of memorable imagery from that one. But yeah, the whole movie, to me, I find it frightening and disturbing, like not in a way that I think is wrong. It just, the whole thing just really, really shakes me up.
Sure, because of the story and the tragedy that occurred while they were filming.
Yeah, and there's just an 80s weirdness about it,
There is. It's got that kind of creepy vibe to it, and
really,
that's
and it should. It was.
Yeah.
It's all in all, and a great choice, by the way. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh man, I can't pick this one because I know what I'll talk about.
Yeah.
But still, it's I won't sit and watch it.
Sure.
A lot of times, but it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah. William, did you see Twilight Zone the movie?
No, but if you remember, like a few months back, I did finish the whole TV series, except for
yes.
Didn't you say that they re-released it or something like that? Or they rebooted it?
They did for a short time. They redid it, like they were doing a whole series of them where they redid the Outer Limits, and they brought back Twilight Zone for a while. As I forgot, late 90s, early aughts.
They brought it back like 3 times actually. They brought it back first in the 80s, and then then they did it again like in the very tail end of the 80s or early 90s in the syndicated form, and then they brought it back. And actually, that 80s show is really well regarded as it's got great people, great directors, great writers. And then like a few years ago, they tried to bring it back with Forrest Whitaker. And that didn't quite work out. But I didn't see any of those, so I can't comment on their quality. But they brought it back, it's been, that thing's been on the air now, if you include the original, like 4 times.
And Paul, what about you, sir? Twilight Zone the movie?
I liked it. I very much liked this film.
Yeah. What was one of your favorite segments in it?
Honestly, it was the very last part where the ambulance driver Dan Aykroyd's like, do you really want to see something scary?
Yeah.
Just like, wow, and then he's like, ah. It just.
I love Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, it leaves the hairs in the back of your neck just stand up, and I mean, admit it, these are the type of movies that I like. So this fits me a lot.
Yeah, and Scott, what about you? Twilight Zone the movie?
I'm going to tell you a little background about me real quick, if you don't mind, because I actually have some interesting connections to this.
Okay.
Not the movie itself, the TV show.
All right.
Is that I remember I used to be, despite my love of horror now, when I was a kid, I was so scared of everything. And I had this overactive imagination. I was the type of person where if I saw something out of the corner of my eye, oh my God, it's a monster. I'm like that type of person, where everything would scare me. You couldn't even talk to me about something scary. So I remember that we would be going to my grandfather's lake, he had a cottage at the lake, Lake Cayuga in New York. It was one of the Finger Lakes, and they were always talking about the Twilight Zone when they were around there. I'm like, you gotta stop talking about the episodes. It's scaring me just hearing about the episodes. Like, don't tell me about Needle, please. Don't tell me about like this episode, you know. And they eventually told me, it's like, well, the reason we always seem to get on the subject of the Twilight Zone around here is because if you look at the old Twilight Zone episodes, it's Cayuga Productions. He lived there. My grandfather knew Rod Serling.
Oh, okay.
Not very well. I mean,
Sure.
they weren't like buddies, but he would see him around town. You were on good terms, and he was like this very quiet guy and everything like that. That was very well regarded and stuff. And it was one of the few fictitious things that my dad could really latch on to, because he doesn't really like a lot of storytelling and stuff. But he did like Twilight Zone, and eventually when I got old enough, I would really enjoy this stuff too. I still couldn't take Twilight Zone when I first saw it as a kid. There are two things from my childhood that caused me the greatest scares ever. One was the movie The Shining.
Yes.
And another was the shot in Joe Dante's segment of this movie of the boy's sister, who doesn't talk much anymore.
Oh, I know.
And they switched to it, and this is it's played by incidentally played by Cherry Curry, former lead singer of the Runaways. And she has no mouth. I'm like, ah! That freaked me out so bad. Sorry if I pierced anybody's ears there, but that freaked me out so bad. And eventually, I had to revisit it years later. And so many of these segments have such great parts in it. Like, if you asked me as a kid, I would have said Joe Dante's segment was my favorite because of all the colorful stuff happening. He basically took the simple story of Bill Mumy wishing people into a cornfield that displeased him, and he added all like the things that kids would be into, like, no, you're gonna have cartoon characters everywhere and this and that, while the kid tried to make a perfect life. And then he changed the ending, and I think I like Joe Dante's ending better, actually.
Yes.
And then if you asked me as a teenager, I would have said the George Miller segment, because Nightmare at 20,000 Feet is such a great episode anyway. Now, if you ask me, it's actually Landis's segment that unfortunately does taint the movie with the Twilight Zone tragedy, which is just such a horrible tragedy. But it has a meaning to it. It has, and which is something that Serling used to try to infuse in his show. He used to take things like what was the episode The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, where they have all the people that they think the monsters are coming, and so the townspeople turn against each other and they fight against each other, and it's the monsters don't have to invade; they're just there watching them fight amongst each other because the threat is enough. I mean, that was the type of thing that Serling used to try to infuse in the show, and I think that's the one segment of this movie that really infuses that deep. Talks about those deep things we don't talk about as people, and this was our racism and our bigotry. You want to talk down to the black people that are sitting next to you at the restaurant? You try dealing with Jim Crow and the KKK. Yeah. You want to say that because some guy cheated you on a deal? Well, he's a Jew and he's no good. Well, then you try dealing with the Holocaust, You want to talk down to Asians, you try dealing with Vietnam, all these things. And I thought that really had a lot of meaning to it. Every single segment of this has its own special something to me. But I think that, it's that first segment that really gets me today.
Awesome. Paul, did we get your favorite segment?
Yes, it was the Dan Aykroyd one.
That's right. You said the Dan Aykroyd one, the short one at the end. You're like, we kept it short. Glenn, what about you?
Boy, picking a favorite.
Just what you liked about the movie in general, or did you like the movie? I should say. I shouldn't assume.
Oh, I love this movie. I wore out this videotape. I recorded this off of probably HBO or Showtime, one of those, when it aired there, and I wore out that tape. I watched it so much. Of course, I also wore out the tape recordings I had of the original Twilight Zone. I mean, I've been a Twilight Zone fan since I was a really young kid, and I'd probably say my favorite. It's oh man, it's tough. Oh God, if I had to pick a favorite, I don't know. I mean, I like
the whole movie. Just like the whole movie.
I love the whole movie. I actually love it. I mean, man, you got Scatman Crothers.
Oh, yeah, I love him.
Love that.
Yeah.
Nice Ema, kick the can. Of course, I just love him because he was the voice of Hong Kong Phooey. So
yes.
but that shows though. I mean, this film for the '80s, I think it holds up.
Oh God, yes.
Oh yes, it absolutely does.
You know, for an '80s film with the effects and everything, it holds up the way these stories are told. But then you look at the directors they got for it. It explains a lot, you know.
Well, let's remember the original. Now, these were all established directors in some form or another. Naturally, Spielberg was more established than the others because he had made like the 2 or 3 biggest hits ever aside from Star Wars.
Yeah.
But you also had Joe Dante, he was new on the scene, and George Miller, who was hot on the scene, and John Landis had been was established, but even as far as serious fare goes, really the only thing you have to go by is American Werewolf.
Exactly.
But the original show. Well, that's where Richard Donner got his start. I mean, that's where all these other great directors got their start, and then you go back to some of the writers like Richard Matheson and stuff like that. Twilight Zone, and Outer Limits as well, but also Twilight Zone was just this breeding ground of behind-the-scenes talent, to say nothing about the actors in front of the camera. So I think that this movie, naturally the studio said we want actually established people, but I mean, that's basically what this movie was doing. George Miller was known as the guy who directed the first 2 Mad Max movies. That's it, pretty much. This showed that he, as great as those movies were, is like, yeah, I can also do this. You know, I mean, and then you had Joe Dante, who was mainly known for The Howling at that point.
Then The Howling.
Yeah, well, I think the scene came before Gremlins even.
Did it? Oh, it did. You're right.
I think Gremlins was the next year, and so
Gremlins wasn't till later.
And so it's like The Howling, okay. Like, well, he can also do this, and it's like it's basically all those things to say, yes, I can, but this person can also do this. It's that reinforcing that breeding ground of talent from the TV show, I think.
Yeah. Definitely. Just a fun movie. Cole, what about you with Twilight Zone, the movie? Did you have a special segment, or did you enjoy the film?
And I hope we get to hear your thoughts on your favorite television to movie conversion, Mark.
Well, I know we're going a little long, but no, go ahead. Don't worry about it.
Okay, good. No, I would rather cut my segment out than not hear yours.
Just roll with it.
Okay, all right. Cut. No, I have a special story with this movie, and I'll make it quick. The first time I saw it was when I was a young man. I was 19, fresh out of high school. I was a nanny with free rent, which meant I got paid shit money, but my food and board was free because I was, I was good with kids. I loved it and all that. So I would have people over into the basement, and we would just stay up all night watching satellite TV, which was big at the time. I can't remember what channel we were watching. But we came in the middle of the third segment, Joe Dante's segment, which is the whole, if you could manifest, if a kid could manifest cartoons, it would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Which is so brilliant. And I think that's what people miss about that segment, is if a kid could make his realities come true, you'd be in fucking hell. It would be the worst nightmare imaginable. And we watched that segment, and for some reason, whoever was broadcasting the segment played it again. The whole segment again. So we're sitting there, and we watched that segment twice. And that segment is brilliant. I mean, it blows me away every time I watch it. And then the George Miller episode came on. And I love George Miller. As you guys know, I saw Mad Max Fury Road 17 times. And that just knocked me out of my seat. Of course, I didn't understand Dan Aykroyd's epilogue at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I went back and rewatched it. I was, when I was older and had an actual career, I went out and bought a DVD player. I have the movie. I watched it. And those first two segments, maybe it's just nostalgia, but those first two segments suck. I think that first segment is horrible. I understand the notion behind it, and I agree. Because I grew up, my best friends, I'm going to say I grew up around Aryans. People, I grew up around people who were German. And it was disturbing. I understand those people very much. I understand the mentality of racism, unfortunately, and which is to say, they were raised in it.
Right.
They have no mental out because that is what they deem as being right, much in the way you deem anything else. If you're raised in something, if you don't have an adult contemporary to tell you that's bullshit, you're gonna believe it's true. And I dig that part of it. That being said, the segment was poorly done. John Landis, who has proved himself to be a good director before that and never once after that. Unfortunately, I think you can look at Beverly Hills Cop 3 as perhaps a terrible failure and a lot of other stuff he did. Into the Night with Jeff Goldblum and Michelle Pfeiffer. I bought that just because I love Goldblum. Horrible movie.
That's a misfire. Yeah, that's a real misfire.
I think. I don't know what happened to Landis, but it seems like that segment is weak. I think Spielberg's segment is weak. I'm a Spielberg fan. I love everything he's ever done aside from that segment. I think it's super weak. I recommend, and you can go and read Roger Ebert's review for this movie. He rates the segment by segment instead of giving the whole movie one rating. And I think if you watch the last two segments, you're in for a good time, brother. I really do. I think the last two segments of this movie are pitch perfect. I think the first two segments are fucking horrible.
Okay.
Mike Corin, I could give this movie 4 stars or 1 star.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what to say other than I hope people can judge it for the last two segments, which are absolutely brilliant. Especially, I'm a huge Joe Dante fan. Love Gremlins. I think that his segment especially, which is if a kid could have his way, your life would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
I think that's genius.
Mm-hmm.
Genius.
And Dawn, I didn't actually get your favorite segment. Did you have a favorite segment, or did you just enjoy the film overall? If you had to pick one, or
first and foremost, Dan Aykroyd.
Sure.
But I have a very, very big soft spot for the second segment, the one with Scatman Crothers. Again, largely because I am my freaking job.
Sure.
So I just have a soft spot for that. I do agree with Cole that it is a weaker segment. It is not nearly as it is much more feel good than a Twilight Zone.
I didn't mean to run
it
into the ground.
Huh?
I'm sorry, sister. I really didn't mean to run it into the ground.
No, that's fine. You're right. It's not as creepy or traumatic as the Twilight Zone episodes should be, and I get that, and I have no problem with that.
It's a sweet story. If you look at it the way it's directed versus the others, I can see Cole's point too. I love the movie as a whole as well, Don, but I do see Cole's point.
That's my soft spot. Mm-hmm. But as far as the favorite segment, it would be the very first introduction, and then the very end with Dan Aykroyd.
The epilogues, yes.
Yes.
I think the second segment, even though I would say that of the 4, personally speaking, I thought, yeah, maybe that one's the least profound. Well, not least profound. Actually, it is pretty profound, but least kind of impactful for me. I still enjoy it because I love the actors, including Scatman Crothers, who's just awesome. Also, I think it was important to have in there because yeah, Twilight Zone is known for all these creepy stories, but they also did have these kind of sweet stories about life lessons and hope and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
without that, I think that aspect, that very important aspect, I think would have been missing from the movie without it. So.
Well,
Right on, man. That's a good point.
well, considering Spielberg directed that, let me put this out. Would we have had Amazing Stories had Spielberg not directed this segment in Twilight Zone? Because
Wow.
not 2
You
years
just
later,
blew my mind.
because not 2 years later, we got Amazing Stories, which is amazing, folks. If you haven't seen that series from Spielberg, they had stories that were dark, but they also had feel-good stories, just like segment 2 in Twilight Zone, the movie. That felt so much like it was an Amazing Stories story.
I never made that connection, but you're absolutely right. That's really good.
Paul, what do you think? You think it might have been a precursor for Spielberg to do Amazing Stories?
I definitely do. I was right with you on that one.
Yeah, and I loved Amazing Stories when it came out. I mean, there were very few shows, in prime time, but I made sure I was watching Amazing Stories. And segment 2, just if you watch Amazing Stories and you watch segment 2, you're like, oh wow, Spielberg was test driving, I think, this idea for an anthology series.
And Joe Dante did a couple episodes of that show too.
And Joe Dante, yes. He had Joe Dante back for it. So, who knows? There are just so many people in here. John Larroquette, for those of you who are Simpsons fans, Nancy Cartwright is in this, in front of the screen, as one of the people in Joe Dante's segment.
I've met her.
There are so many people where if you grew up in the 80s, you will go, oh, it's him, it's her, it's wow. This was an ensemble movie before, again, ensemble movies were really cool, and it wasn't promoted quite as such either when it came out. So the fact you had all these people either in minor roles or major roles, this film was pretty big, and not just for the controversy behind it, which it gone down in the annals of movie history as being very tragic and one of the more darker things to ever happen on a Hollywood set. So great pick, Dawn. That's why I kind of wanted to leave yours till last with Twilight Zone, the movie, because I figured people would have stuff to say about it. And after
That's
just watch... Go ahead.
That's why I didn't think I needed to say too much, because I knew everybody would have stuff to say.
And I just watching it before the show, it does hold up, folks. This is a film, even with Joe Dante's segment with the extra special effects, it holds up.
Yeah.
For being a film that is 32 years old, it definitely holds up. And I know we're going late. I do have a pick real quick. I will just throw it out there. I have many. But the one that stands out for me, and I actually did a review, not a review of it, but I did show a trailer in it in the very first final cut I did. It was the Brady Bunch movie.
Yay!
And the reason I picked the Brady Bunch movie, I know it's a surprise for people, and and I'm going to tell you why it's a surprise to you, because it's a surprise to me. When I saw the trailer for this, I wasn't quite sure about the movie. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. But then when I sat down and watched it and saw that the way they approached it was interesting, because it wasn't a retelling or they weren't trying to reinvent the Bradys. It was just, what if the Bradys were in today? They were the way they were then, but they're in today's society. And I loved that idea, that the innocence of their show, how innocent and very, not say shallow, but you know what I mean. It was very light. It was
very squeaky clean.
Squeaky clean. It was very squeaky clean. It was very uplifting. It was one of those, after school special type of things. And then they put it in modern day, which is nothing like the world that they lived in their house. I just loved that opposites that they had, and it was great because of the way the world accepted the characters too. Like, you get the one scene that was in the trailer that is, I find quite hilarious is the guy coming up going, "This is a carjacking," and he goes, "Why, yes, this is a car, but I'm not Jack. My name's Greg." And I'm just like sitting there, and the look at the guy's face as they drive away, he's like, "What?"
Did that just happen?
He goes, did that just happen? And the fact that they replicated the house, I think it was the original set, where they tried to replicate the original set as best they could, because it's the actual house, from the show. It's just in real world. And seeing those innocent characters deal with the real world situation, plus them playing on the inside jokes, like about a bathroom, the kind of sexual tension underneath between Marcia and Greg, that creepy factor, which was explored more in the sequel. I don't know. For me, I guess it's a soft spot. I don't know what you guys think. Glenn, the Brady Bunch movie, did you enjoy it at all? I know
a little bit. I mean, I was never a huge Brady Bunch fan, but I was forced to watch it all the time because it was on during dinner, and my sister watched it. And she'd always get to have it on because I dominated the TV for G.I. Joe and Transformers, so then she got the Brady Bunch. But yeah, I mean, the movie, as far as kind of, I guess homage to the original series with some of the humor, it works well. But it's not one that I'm going to go out of my way to watch again.
Sure. No,
but for what it is, it's a fine movie, and I probably like it better than Josie and the Pussycats. But like I said, I have to revisit that one. But I'm not revisiting.
I think what worked with it too, though, is the fact that they got actors and actresses. They really got people that looked a lot like the original characters, especially who they got to play Marcia. It was impressive, I thought. Dawn, what about you? Brady Bunch movie, any thoughts on it? I know it's an odd pick. You didn't expect it from me, but that's...
No, I told you what I expected from you.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was awful. I enjoyed it. But like many other movies that have been inspired by, based on TV shows that have turned into film, I thought that I feel that given the budget, with the quality of actors, quality of direction, production value in general, it was a decent, solid movie that gave you exactly what you would expect and brought in a return on the money that was invested into the movie. Man, I'm stuttering. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. You've been playing the drinking game, haven't you?
Maybe.
I've been doing it.
But it's still it's a really good, solid comedy that's based on a classic television show. And I did definitely like the twist and the more adult humor. But I didn't find it exceptional.
Sure. And Cole, what about you? Brady Bunch movie?
Yeah, I thought it was just fine, and I thought the television show was just fine. I mean, honestly, what am I going to say about the Brady? I can't run the Brady Bunch into the ground. That's not my place.
Ogre right kills the Brady Bunch.
And you sold your soul to the devil.
Fine. The movie was fine. I never saw the second movie. I thought it was just fine. It was a good translation. I don't know, man. I don't know what else to say. It's okay. Fine. I can't say anything negative or positive about it. I thought it was totally passable as a translation. I thought they did the best they could do. But honestly, man, if pushed into a corner, I couldn't even say who directed the movie.
Betty Thomas.
I don't know who that is.
Betty Thomas also directed I want to say she directed Private Parts. Did she? No, she didn't. The reason I had it right in front of me because I had the IMDb listing right in front of me. I'm not that good, guys.
She
did Private Parts. She did Private Parts. She did Dr. Dolittle.
John Tucker Must Die. She did that one. She did. She directed Hill Street Blues. She was actually an actress in front of.
Let's just talk about the good things she did.
Wow.
So we'll leave John Tucker. No, we'll leave John Tucker.
Yeah, I know. No,
I want to talk about Hill Street Blues. Come on, that's awesome.
Okay.
We're not going to talk about the Alvin the Squeakquel. But she did 28 Days with Sandra Bullock, Dr. Dolittle, Private Parts.
Oh, she did 28 days. Oh, okay. That brings it into focus.
Not the zombie movie, the drunk.
No, I know. That is the most wholesome rehab movie ever produced.
I know.
I was going to say that's the one where it was miscast by a lot.
She also, you know what? She did a decent comedy with Andrew McCarthy and Helen Hunt called Only You that I think was overlooked, and she also did that movie about the late shift, which, unfortunate makeup work aside, is far more interesting than a movie about, what's going to happen to Jay Leno and David Letterman should ever be. That was a very entertaining movie.
Well,
was that the made for HBO one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I saw that. I hated that movie, but.
Yep. Okay.
So I'll leave it to the host to pick the middle of the road mediocre.
Well,
TV,
I haven't seen. I gotta tell you, Mark. I mean, it's gonna be the same thing with me that it was when Cole brought up Miami Vice, where I said I didn't care for Miami Vice, but I saw the other version. I'm going now desperate to see the original version.
Sure.
I've not seen the original Brady Bunch movie, mainly because I was having the I can't believe they did this, Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. But then I thought, wait, that's exactly what I said I thought about Josie and the Pussycats. So I'm going to watch, now I'm actually going to make it a mission to watch the Brady Bunch movie, see?
And me personally, like I said, it was a soft spot because I didn't know what to expect going into it. I kind of always picked on the Brady Bunch film, but here were people that were just taking, that concept. I just thought the concept was intriguing. I thought everybody did a decent performance of replicating that feel of the TV show, the actors and actresses playing the roles of Marcia Brady, Greg, Jan, Peter, the modern, at that time at 95, the modern actors and actresses actually really capturing the feel of the kids of that family, and just being totally oblivious to the real world, but not stupid. They weren't stupid. They were just innocent. There's a difference between dumb and innocent. Okay, Vacation, I'm bringing it up. The Griswolds in Vacation were dumb. Okay, if they think they're going into a pool, a lake of human waste and think it's a spa, they're dumb. Marcia Brady not picking up on the innuendo of the boy from high school who says that he has protection. That's funny.
That's just naivete,
the fact that they're naive to what the real world is, but they aren't completely oblivious to the meaning, and it just takes them a while to realize it because they're innocent, not because they're dumb. And that's what I like about it. And I think everybody's picks tonight were fantastic and great, and as you can see, film is subjective, and everybody has a different opinion. That's why I love film so much. William and Andrew did have to drop out a little early because we did go long. I appreciate them coming on. Let's wrap it up real quick, and we're just going to go down the line. And I want to thank first our listeners. We're growing all the time. Appreciate you listening to us ramble about these films. And thank you so much. Make sure you go to thepodcastland.com, I think it is, where you can vote for us. You can vote for us there. Make sure you check that out. And we're going to go down the line down like we always do, pimp some stuff out, and here where you can find these excellent people's material when they're not here listening to me ramble. So, Cole, go ahead. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Shadows and Lovers Productions on Facebook, which is reinvigorated with a new movie right on the horizon. Probably the best movie I've ever made, my 5th flick, and I'm super stoked about it, but also just Cole Meredith on Facebook, and Horror Roar, where I do a little bit of original art, and also here, the Spoiler Room. This is where I am, and I just want to thank Mark and Scott and Andrew and Dawn and Glenn and Paul and everybody else who talks movies with me, because I don't get that, and in my normal, what you'd call normal day-to-day life. So I got nothing but respect for the people here, and even though our opinions vary, thank you for letting me vent about Miami Vice, which
You're welcome.
on my top 10 films of all time. So thank you, Mark, and everyone here.
Awesome. And
Awesome.
you're welcome, Cole, and we're glad to have you. And Dawn, how about you? Where can we find all of your insights?
You can find me at intheaudience.net. I am not a filmmaker. I have no experience with filmmaking. I am completely of the perspective of the fan. Hey, if you make something and it makes me feel something, I like it.
Awesome. And Glenn, sir, how about you?
You find me in the B-movie bunker. Use Google. It's your friend. We're running long. I'm keeping it short.
Glenn does awesome reviews. If you haven't seen Glenn's review for Guardians of the Galaxy, you're missing out.
Yes.
And I still
Sorry,
love
Moon.
his review of his very hit of movie 43. Because Glenn, now guys know I talk a lot, and Glenn, he can when he actually lets loose and actually says something. I mean, when he says something, it's something amazing. But he can also say more in a sigh than I can say in a whole paragraph.
So there you go. B-movie bunker for Mr. Glenn Bittner, also Naked Hobo Productions. You Google that, you should find him. And yes, definitely check out his reviews. Paul, go ahead with you, sir.
And for those of you that are playing the drinking game with me, show. When I'm not on this show, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and WordPress at Forsaken Film Reviews.
Fantastic. And go ahead, Scott.
You can find me at movieocrity.com. Haven't updated for a bit, but I'll get to it. Well, ideally speaking, that's where I write all my reviews and where all my stuff where I'm on wonderful shows like this. That's where that gets posted. And also, I'm really in the kind of early planning stages, but I'm anxious to get back into producing more episodes of my web series, Movieocrity, which you can get at vimeo.com/channels/Movieocrity. Yeah, they're on YouTube as well, but Vimeo has all of them. So, there.
Awesome. And you can find our past episodes for the Spoiler Room, as well as anything that you might be curious about my opinion on specialmarkproductions.com. You can find links to everyone here in case you didn't quite catch it. I hope you did, and I hope you do catch their stuff. And again, if you're interested in my stuff, specialmarkproductions.com, where we have our archived episodes. You can also check us on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. If you're wondering about the drinking game, go to our specialmarkproductions.com/the Spoiler Room. I'm going to do a write-up. We've come up with a spoiled word, as it's called, and every time that word shows up in the podcast, you take a drink. I'm not going to say of what, and we are not going to be held responsible for any fallout that happens from whatever you drink during our podcast during the spoiled word. That'll do it for us here on the Spoiler Room. Thank you so much for listening, as always. We appreciate you rating and commenting on iTunes. You can email us at spoilerroom.s as in Sam, M as in Mary, P as in Paul, at gmail.com. So that's spoilerroom.smp@gmail.com. Give us feedback. Let us know if there's any movies you'd like us to hear us ramble about, because here in the Spoiler Room, the conversation is fresh, but man, do we spoil the movies.